Hey everybody, this is D and Mike, and this is the next campaign diary for Rise of Tiamat. We are in Xonathals Tower, Chapter 7. And you know what? We have finished it. We have finally finished it. If you're wondering, we got about 4 sessions out of it. That fourth session, only the first half of it, or the last half of it, was actually in Xonathals Tower. And really what remained in Xonathals Tower was just a leftover dungeon, the last half of it, which frankly is pretty devoid of anything. There's no real items to get. There's no creatures. There's a creature that I axed from the campaign who's in the, I think, area 22 or 23, something like that, on the right side of the map. And it's some kind of creature, I can't even pronounce its name. And, it tricks the players, and it's been, has a line of salt that's kept it into this room and imprisoned in this room. It is technically nothing more than a last encounter before you find Iskander. And I didn't want to do it. So I just kind of nixed that. If you're wondering how I ran it, I just got that out of there. I thought it was just ridiculous. I didn't want to do it. And by that time, the dragon was on its way. There were other things pressuring the players. I didn't feel like going through another combat encounter until the big one, the big combat encounter, was to occur. So they did go through those last few rooms. They did find the secret doors and got a few items, not really much, right? Again, there's just not much left in the dungeon once you get towards the end. They did find Iskander. They did get the mask, and yes, it was the real mask. The book wants you to do a bait and switch on him to say that it's a fake mask sent by the Red Wizards. I was like, no, they've been through so much, and I'm just like the white mask, which was fine. It got lost. I kind of ran with that. I mean, God, there's so many things I'm going to do over if I ever run this again. But for the blue mask, I said, yeah, you guys got it, right? You've got the real deal. And to me, it still continues to weaken Tiamat. There's a million different ways to run the last chapter, which is already upon us practically. And for me, as long as they keep taking these masks, those particular heads on Tiamat become weakened, or they maybe don't even come through the portal at all. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with that. But they are continuously weakening Tiamat the more artifacts they take from the cult. Now, after they got the mask, they teleported outside the tower, and of course, here comes the encounter with the dragon, the green dragon, adult green dragon. Now, in the book, it says it has a blue dragon. I decided to get rid of that and pulled the green dragon from Chapter 3, which is a whole nother dungeon crawl. I think it's like the Tomb of Diderius, and there's another one that takes place in the Misty Forest. I decided just to nix that half of the chapter because I just kind of want it. It felt a little redundant, and I wanted to move on to different things. One dungeon crawl after another dungeon crawl. I just didn't feel like doing that. So I took the green dragon from there and moved it into the encounter in Chapter 7, Xonathals Tower. So they pretty much wiped the floor with this dragon. I mean, don't get me wrong. I made a few hits and whatnot. I made the mistake of landing the dragon. That's probably always the mistake with the dragon, is putting it on the ground. But I made that mistake. And from there, because one of our paladin has this power or feat, skill, whatever, I think it's a feat called Sentinel. And boy, when you walk next to the paladin and he's got the Sentinel feat, you ain't going anywhere. I mean, really, it doesn't matter how big you are, how strong you are, how evil you are stuck right there 8 or 9 times out of 10. It was very difficult. As a matter of fact, I never got out of it. The dragon basically was killed right there because I could not take off. Even disengage action doesn't do anything. Try to take off, doesn't do anything. Try to walk away, doesn't do anything. You're just kind of pummeled to death. And it's not really a complaint. It's just I didn't know how strong that feat was. It's just kind of crazy. And I don't think anybody at the table is abusing their power by any means. It's just like, wow, that is a very, very strong feat. And I was kind of surprised that it didn't have any kind of size limitation on it, which I feel like it should, because even in my mind, I couldn't quite put together how slashing down with a sword just kept that dragon from going anywhere. But regardless to all that, they did manage to, at the very end, the bard tricked the dragon, tried to influence him to go away and to let them have the mask and whatnot. The dragon was somewhat charmed by it a little bit, but ultimately would not leave without that mask. And so he did something. I think he cast the laughter. I know it's a very famous one for a bard. I'm terrible with player powers. But made the dragon laugh, and it ended up killing it. Like it died laughing. Well, and actually, no, it did not kill it. It made it drop down, and right below it, though, unfortunately, was 3 other players attacking it at close range. So I had this dragon who flipped over suddenly and went prone. I had everybody do a dex saving throw. Everybody made it, but the half-orc. Half-orc got crushed, and we had to do some math again, calculating how big is a green dragon, how much weight is falling on a character. And so she got crushed. She's not dead, but she got crushed underneath it. And it really was the monk who took the last It had 23 hit points. He managed to punch the thing to death in its ass. And that was the final blow. So this green dragon, who's been living for probably thousands of years, died from an ass punching. So the green dragon's dead, and at that point, there was a decision now of what do we do? Now, I started the adventure not actually on Xonathals Tower. We started with the A-Team, which is back at the Forge. And long story short there, they're also making their way back to the nearby city or whatnot because they got to get out of there. The father is comatose. The paladin is comatose. Mortimer, who was there chained up and prisoned by the Crimson Six, is dead. The players killed him. I don't know what to say about that, but the other heroes killed the hero. He just... not because the players didn't get along. It's nothing like that. It's more like the characters in the world weren't getting along. I think a lot of the characters felt betrayed and abandoned by him, going off on his own like that. And so, yeah, he's dead. Long story, much more context, but the guy's gone. So they ended up getting rid of Mortimer. They took Jalen and the father and Lucius, got him out of the Forge. And the last thing they did, because there's a portal in the Forge, they decided to cast Shatter. And they had to do it, like, I think 3 times to get those lava tubes in there to burst and bury the portal and really that room slowly into magma, just magma all coming through, lava all coming through, and just kind of really sealing off that entire room. Probably, well, for a very long time. It's going to make it very difficult. Anybody wants to take over that Forge to try to get that room back into shape. So that's what they did, and they came out of the mountainside. They hit a blizzard storm, and now they're trying to figure out what to do and where to go. So I actually started with the A-Team, the original characters, and then we switched to the B-Team in Xonathals Tower. But both of those storylines ended with, what do we do next? So we don't play again for another 2 weeks. I've got to plan out. Actually, I'm actually asking the players what they want to do now because there's not much left in Rise of Tiamat. It is very anticlimactic in a way. It just kind of barrels along, and the next thing you know, you're in the last chapter, and it's just like the build up, the build up to the climax is pretty surprisingly anticlimactic. So there you have it, folks. That's where we're at. We start chapter. We're actually going to start with chapter. I think it's 5 or 6, or some things are kind of out of order here, but some interactions that are coming up, and then really at that point we're going to be in chapter 8, and I'm going to take an extended break as a DM, first of all just to rest a little bit longer, and also to really figure out how I'm going to run this final chapter, because we've been going at this now for I think 6 months, this being the 6th month, and it's just it just kind of, before you know it, you're at the end of the chapter, and it's kind of like, okay, what am I going to do? The map is not that great. I don't like the location of certain things. We've really got to work this out. So I'm going to be taking a little bit of an extended break and trying to fix all that. And I'm looking forward to actually finishing this off and just being kind of done with Tyranny of Dragons for right now. I've enjoyed every game session, but I'm actually itching to play something that is a little bit smaller in scope and it doesn't take as much time. I'm really looking forward to smaller, more intimate campaigns that run maybe like a month, and you're done. So that's what I'm looking forward to. All right, guys, that's it. I'll let you go. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.